Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Tuesday, May 13th. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. According to a new statewide study, the black bear population in California has more than quadrupled since the 1990s. That's led experts to develop ways to monitor them.
With this plan, we have a much better count of bears and their population trends. So we estimate there to be about 60,000 black bears in California.
We'll learn about this new research in just a few minutes, but first, these news headlines. The president and CEO of the California Hospital Association is speaking out about proposed cuts to Medicaid. Carmela Coyle says the cuts could not only hurt hospitals financially, but it could force some of them to shut down. Coyle urged Congress to reconsider cutting into the public health care safety net. The issue has put House Republicans in the hot seat as they carry out President Trump's economic agenda. The city of Fresno has filed the first lawsuit as part of its wage theft task force. KVPR's Carrie Klein reports the case is against a hotel operator.
According to the lawsuit, Pinnacle Hospitality and Development owes contractors $58,000. The company operates a Holiday Inn in Northwest Fresno. City Attorney Andrew Jans alleges two people hired by the company paid contractors sub-minimum wage, failed to pay overtime, and didn't provide legally required breaks.
We have identified at least 9 victims. The victims perform various jobs, including tile installation, carpet installation, demolition, sheetrock installation, painting, cleaning, and general labor work. Obviously, blue-collar workers.
Pinnacle Hospitality did not respond to a request for comment in time for this newscast. Going after wage theft is new for the city of Fresno. That power was granted by a 2023 state law. This was the first lawsuit filed by the city's new wage theft task force. Jan says the team is currently investigating 10 other wage theft cases in Fresno. With KVPR News, I'm Carrie Klein.
Work permits that were canceled for international students at the University of California, Merced have been reactivated. That's after hundreds of students across the country faced sudden revocations last month. But as KVPR's Rachel Livenall reports, panic from international students is still high.
The cancellations affected 4 students at UC Merced specifically. KVPR learned that 3 of them have since had their work permits reinstated, and the Trump administration said that it still plans to work out a framework to cancel visas or permits in the future. That isn't putting many international students at ease, but Miguel Craven, who is the student body president at UC Merced, said he hopes to offer support.
Everybody has that sense of unity on our campus that if there is something coming our way, we will be here to protect one another.
2 international students told KVPR they may halt their education at the university out of fear. Almost half of UC Merced's graduate student population is international. For KVPR News, I'm Rachel Livenall.
One of Fresno's oldest and most popular shopping centers has been sold. Fig Garden Village was acquired by a pair of commercial real estate companies last week, according to the Business Journal. It's unclear how much the shopping center sold for, but in 2015 it sold for $106 million. The Journal says the new owners plan to add tenants and upgrade the shopping center. Kern County Sheriff Donnie Youngblood is endorsing Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco for California governor. Youngblood said in his announcement on Monday that Bianco has the experience needed to fix California's broken public safety system. Bianco's a Republican and is running in an already crowded field for governor, which includes several high-profile Democrats.
Public media is facing serious threats from the White House and also in Congress. But despite the attacks, we're still here. We're not going anywhere, but we'll need your help. Give today at kvpr.org.
And now to our main story. As of this recording, there is a black bear likely roaming parts of the San Joaquin Valley. Late last week, the Selma Police Department shared a video on Facebook of a black bear being followed closely by a driver and later climbing over a wall. And that was the last time it was officially seen, despite a search that has now gone on for days. The latest update is that the bear, or a bear, was spotted in the tiny city of Parlier. We reached out to the police there, and they told us they've not found any evidence so far, but that they will keep their eyes and ears peeled for more reports. And while that search continues, today we're talking all about black bears with Arjun Dheer. He's the statewide black bear coordinator for the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. We had arranged the conversation before the bear sighting in the valley. Arjun works to track and monitor black bears in California and says there are a lot of them. In fact, California has one of the largest populations of black bears in the U.S. So it's no surprise the state recently released a, quote, black bear conservation and management plan. It was recently updated to account for the population growth. The last plan was published in 1998. Arjun starts our conversation by first explaining what's in the new plan.
The main update to it, and the most exciting one, is the new population monitoring approach we're using. We're using a much more robust population model. It's called an integrated population model. So essentially, in the past, in the 1998 plan, for example, and until this plan was released, we were actually undercounting bears in California using the previous method that we had. And so with this plan, we have a much better count of bears and their population trends. So we estimate there to be about 60,000 black bears in California within a credible interval of 49,000 to 71,000. And our model suggests it's been, stable going back over the past decade, although the range has definitely expanded. So the plan, puts that forth and introduces a new approach to monitoring the bears. And that's the major development, and that'll allow us to use the best available science to support regulations going forwards.
Yeah, what is the new approach like? Is this manually different, like out in the field, the way you're tracking these bears?
Yeah, we've GPS collared. Right now we have about 130 bears with collars at the moment to track them, get data on their vital rates, things like survival and litter size and interbirth intervals for sows or female bears. And then also, previously, we're using actually a variety of different local density estimates from local studies in the model itself across the state, and then camera trap data. So it's a lot that goes into the model, whereas previously we solely relied on age at harvest data from harvested bears or hunted bears. Now we still use that data, but we have other inputs into the model to give like a more comprehensive approach.
Yeah, and where's the black bear population sort of stand in California right now? Where are they mostly located, and how are we looking in terms of how many there are?
So they cover about 40% of the state's area. They're concentrated. The highest densities are in the north, especially the north coast. So areas like Del Norte and Humboldt counties. There are also high densities, of course, in the Tahoe Basin, which is, famous for its bears. And then, the Cascades Range. There's also bears that have expanded into the Northeast, into Modoc County. And then going south, through the Southern Sierra into Mono and Inyo counties. And then we have bears going all the way down into the transverse ranges. So, LA suburbs, Sierra Madre. So they have a pretty wide distribution. And, like I said, they have increased a bit in their range going back. So actually, one thing I wanted to mention is that on the plan, we have created a new range map for the species. So that's the first range map for the species in the state since 2009. So with that update, we have a slightly larger range than previously indicated.
Yeah. Now, how are black bears different from grizzlies or other types of bears?
Oh, good question. Well, there's 8 bear species in the world. So black bears, American black bears, are one of the 8. They're restricted to North America, but actually the interesting thing about them is that they outnumber all other 7 bear species combined. So they're very abundant. There's about 1 million worldwide. California, like I said, has about 60,000 of them. And grizzlies are a different species that are actually they're a subspecies of brown bear, Ursus arctos, which ranges not just in North America but also a lot of Asia and Europe.
How important is the black bear to sort of California's identity or landscape? Because as you mentioned, there's about 60,000 here, and I believe that's one of the largest bear populations in the U.S.
Yeah, that's right. We have the most bears, black bears, after Alaska. So I think they're very charismatic and they're a flagship species. I think it's been really a pleasure to work with them and to study them. But obviously, they bring out also a lot of emotions in people because of their charisma and because they are also, potentially conflict prone. So it makes them a very compelling management species, and that's something I really enjoy about them.
You have your work cut out for you. I do want to get into people's interactions with them in a moment. But first, Arjun, I do have to mention a photo I saw online of you. I think it's your picture for your profile on X. That is quite eye-catching. You're standing next to what appears to be a tranquilized black bear. Is that one of the bears that your program is keeping an eye on? Is that what your everyday work looks like? Could you just sort of give us an idea of what tracking this species is like for you in the everyday?
Yeah, I wish that was every day. I do get the opportunity to go out in the field, and that's something I really enjoy doing for sure. That was a bear that we captured and put a GPS collar on. That was a roughly 400-pound sow that we are tracking, and she actually gave birth to 2 cubs this spring, or this
Wow.
winter rather. So yeah, she provided some of that vital rates data that we're using to augment our population model.
Recently, Arjun, there's been a lot of stories of bears sort of getting more comfortable entering human spaces. Is this true that bears are getting more comfortable around humans? Should people be concerned?
I don't think people need to be concerned, but I think people need to be very careful, especially in areas where people haven't been dealing with black bears and aren't used to them. It's really, really critical to secure your trash, take down your bird feeders in the springtime, clean your barbecues, just be smart about it. I mean, CDFW is a member of Bear Wise, which is, a multi-agency group of black bear biologists, and we try to promote a lot of public education on these things. Black bears are, again, like I said, very charismatic, and it's wonderful to have them right in California that we have so many, but they're very crafty, they're very intelligent, and they're a little mischievous. They're in some ways, they're like very large raccoons, and so you need to be really careful about making sure they don't get attracted to your living space. And in addition to that, in a community, in a development, it only takes one person to kind of ruin things. So if one person is attracting bears, then it can affect everyone else. So everyone needs to be united in that, and being bear wise.
Sure, I appreciate you depicting their personalities. So what's next for your team and for black bear conservation in California?
Yeah, well, so now that we have this, really strong population model, we know how many bears we have and we know their trend. The next step is, it's kind of a layer cake, so to speak. So the next layer that we want to unravel kind of is to look into how they interact with other species. So deer, mountain lions, gray wolves, for example, and then also how things like fire and drought affect them. Fire is a big part of California's ecosystem processes, and we want to see how bears are affected by fire. And also, obviously conflict goes hand in hand with all of that. How fire and drought might be linked to conflict is, one study that we're looking into. So it's not just the population size and the trend, but also what influences that. That's kind of the next step. And then that involves, all the vital rates data we're collecting, the GPS collars we put out, doing den checks on bears, setting up camera traps. So it's really exciting times.
Statewide Black Bear Coordinator Arjun Dheer with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's today's show. Do you have a wildlife or nature story that you'd like us to cover on Central Valley Daily? Reach out to the show. Just email podcast@kvpr.org. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. Find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.